This is the Red Cross.
The 8th of May 1965 is Red Cross Day the world over. This year it is the Day of Youth, the Day of Red Cross Youth. As Secretary General of the League of Red Cross Societies, the World Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent and Red Lion and Sun associations the world over, I have the great privilege and pleasure to say that the theme for this Red Cross Day and for the whole year is Red Cross Youth, Tomorrow's Strength Today. In countries in the stage of development, more than 50% of the population is under 20 years of age. This is just statistics, but the important thing is that the leaders of these young people, the youth itself, the young people themselves, are willing to serve, they are willing to do something, they are willing to create something. That's why we have tried to put their own ideas into the Red Cross. We have made a practical program not only for the 8th of May, not only for 1965, but for a 5-year period, and this will start exactly this day of the 8th of May. I have the great pleasure to present to you a number of Red Cross youth leaders from different countries, from different parts of the world, all of them belonging to the Junior Red Cross. And our first speaker is leader of our Junior Red Cross Bureau, Mr. André Schusselé.
The Junior Red Cross is universal. The youth movement of the Red Cross has 68 million members in 87 countries. These millions of juniors who work on every continent throughout the world have one common bond: the humanitarian ideals on which the Red Cross was founded. They are the preservation of health and life, service to others, and the establishment of bonds of international friendship. The base for Junior Red Cross programs has long been the school. It is there that young people can be offered opportunities for service and leadership training. And it is there that international friendship programs can be coordinated with studies of other countries and cultures. However, in some parts of the world, schooling is not available, and even greater efforts must be made by the Red Cross on behalf of these young people. This has necessitated a change in methods. It has meant the establishment of workshops, sewing rooms and leisure centers to enable those who are still illiterate also to attain the Red Cross ideals and serve their community. Through its programs and activities in schools and other meeting places, the Junior Red Cross imbues young people with its principles of service and the sense of human solidarity. Through our World Red Cross Day theme, we try to show what youth in Red Cross is doing. Today, we want to show youth in Red Cross in action.
Let us first go to Africa, to meet the National Secretary of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Mr. Saidu Mohammed, who a few months ago was still a leader of the Junior Red Cross of Nigeria.
Here in Africa, something like 2/3 of the membership of the Red Cross are juniors, which shows the important role which the Junior Red Cross is playing in the development of Red Cross principles and activities on the African continent. You know that in Africa, our future lies to the greatest extent in the hands of the youth, because we are developing and young nations. For that reason, we have to provide for the future generation of the African peoples. These future generations have got to be prepared, brought up with the right spirit, and made aware of the immense responsibilities which they have to face. It is therefore imperative that our youth begin to realize how important it is to establish international friendship, international understanding. Now, back home in Africa, we have many problems, but our means are limited. But we can count on assistance from international organizations, and the Red Cross, fortunately, is an international and humanitarian organization. So we in Africa can count on the support of our sister societies, particularly through the Junior Red Cross, to support our development projects in the field of health and social progress. For that reason, the Junior Red Cross this year has dedicated the year 1965 to the theme, the Junior Red Cross, tomorrow's strength today. I appeal to you all, anywhere in the world, that you give your active support. I am addressing this particular message to the youth of Africa. And we must prove to the world that we do not only require rights, but we also are prepared for responsibility. We are resolved to prove to our people that the Red Cross has a role to play on the continent of Africa.
Walimu wajuzi wa jana, walimu hakuna siyejua. Mwanangu waenda wapi? Naenda shule kujifunza. Mwanangu waenda wapi? Naenda shule kujifunza.
Yes, in Africa, as in all other continents, the future is in the hands of youth. Mr. Saidu Mohammed was quite right when he quoted the old proverb, God helps those who help themselves. We want young people everywhere to help each other, and we want the Junior Red Cross to help them achieve the Red Cross ideals. Can the enthusiasm and improvised means of the youth program in developing countries replace the possibilities open to youth in developed countries? This question will be answered by the young director of one of our youngest societies, that of Upper Volta. Over to you, Pierre Nyamweogho.
Au rendez-vous des juniors, nous voilà. La Croix-Rouge voltaïque de la jeunesse se réjouit du thème qui est donné cette année.
Wherever Red Cross youth meet, we will be there. The Junior Red Cross of Upper Volta is pleased with the theme for World Red Cross Day this year. Red Cross youth, tomorrow's strength today. It is timely to give the Junior Red Cross concrete teams for action so that new impetus can be given, taking into account the temperament of youth today. The Junior Red Cross of Upper Volta is young. Its means limited. Its material and equipment improvised. But its members are full of enthusiasm. Problems are raised by youth, and they find the solutions. It is time we emphasize the importance of cooperation with educators, which can facilitate their task in many fields through voluntary programs. Through its traditional 3-point program and its new 5-year plan, the Junior Red Cross can make important contributions towards an easier and better life, particularly in Africa, where it is urgent that knowledge be acquired. The school attendance rate in Africa is low. This makes the recognition of the importance of collaborative efforts essential. It is by working together that we shall overcome our difficulties. It is hoped that even those who have received little will give much. It is better to give than take, and to serve is an honor.
To achieve this effective, permanent and constructive action, this implies the League of Red Cross Societies has launched a Junior Red Cross 5-year plan. The plan is not in competition with the traditional program of the Junior Red Cross and his threefold aim: protection of health and life, service to others, and international friendship. It aims at placing emphasis each year on a different theme of special importance. Health education in 1965, First aid in 1966, home nursing, mother and baby care, accident prevention and water safety in 1967, leadership training at the international level in 1968, all of which will culminate in better international understanding in 1969.
This international understanding, this true friendship, will be illustrated and supported by varied ventures. Let us select one of them, that of the Swedish Red Cross, for discussion. The Swedish Red Cross has initiated a somewhat daring experiment in the field of international work. For the first time, the Society has sent its junior members to another country to serve others. They went to Kenya, in Africa, to work for 6 months in a home for handicapped children near Nairobi.
This is Peter Bille speaking from Stockholm. I'm a Junior Red Cross member in Sweden, and I'm also in my spare time an amateur radio technician, and that is why I'm recording this interview.
Det här är Britt Koniakovski och jag sänder en hälsning till alla Röda Korsungdomar inför Röda Korsets dag. I said in Swedish, here is Britt Koniakovski, and I speak to you on the occasion of the Red Cross Day. I am now studying in Stockholm to become a nurse, and I want to tell you a little about my experience in Kenya.
Well, Britt, could you tell me why you were sent to Kenya?
The purpose of our stay in Kenya was, of course, in the first place, to try to do a good job on the spot, but also to gather experience from this kind of work. We were briefed and trained in various ways before we left, and we felt our responsibility very strongly.
What did you do at the Dagoretti Children's Home?
After some time, our main task became to assist in the teaching at the deaf school. There were about 100 children at Dagoretti, and many of them were handicapped in some way or another. We had to take care of these children. When teaching was over for the day, there was always a lot of other things to be done. Tables, chairs, windows and beds had to be painted, clothes and bedclothes to be mended and marked. We also tried our skill as carpenters and barbers.
You speak Swedish and English, Britt, but how could you assist in the teaching at Dagoretti? I suppose the children spoke only native tongue.
Oh yes, it was a bit tricky at first, but we learned very soon those basic words of the Kikuyu language, which were taught in the class for the deaf children. And we worked, of course, under supervision of experienced people. After the morning hour in the deaf school, we usually went down to the nursery, where the smallest children had their lunch and assisted during the meal. Many of the children were malnutritioned, and some had polio or tuberculosis. In the afternoon, we had another lesson in the deaf school. It was often a lesson out of doors, when we taught children to count, or pointed out things around us and said the names in Kikuyu.
Red Cross youth in another European country are also serving handicapped children. Mr Van Kleef, Director of the Netherlands Junior Red Cross, and at the international level, Vice Chairman of the Junior Red Cross Advisory Committee of the League, will tell you of this Junior Red Cross program of his society.
Ik ben Dick van Kleef, directeur van het Nederlandse Jeugdrode Kruis en vicevoorzitter van de Internationale Jeugdrode Kruis Adviescommissie. Windmills and tulips are only two of the outward visions of the little country at the North Sea. It's a happy and healthy country, although there are, of course, also people who are lonely and unhappy, sick or handicapped. In Holland, Junior Red Cross is not a youth organization with members. The more formal name is Children's and Youth Program of the Red Cross. These young people are engaged in this program within their studies at school and in their youth clubs. Usually, those actions are not very big and spectacular, and not much publicity is given to them. Even when each year 90,000 New Year's greeting cards are drawn by children for invalid and sick people, and old-aged as well, And even if this is a great number, it's the personal attention which counts, the personal relation from junior to invalid, from man to man, even by the simple means of a drawing. It goes without saying that I must also mention the role which the juniors play in the senior program for handicapped. We arrange holiday cruises for bedridden patients on board our own hospital ship, Henry Dunant. Holiday weeks for mobile invalids in Henry Dunant House. We also invite to Dunant House polio cases who are artificially breathed upon. And we take double handicapped young people for a week's holiday too. Junior Red Cross pays part of the expenses of those projects through its Henry Dunant Fund. And last but not least, our service of young volunteers. Those young adults help in hospitals and homes and with home-ridden invalids.
Let us now go to Asia, where Red Cross juniors are giving important service. In China, for example, 800,000 juniors are energetically engaged in the task of exterminating 4 scourges: mice, flies, mosquitoes and bed bugs. In India, where there is so much blindness, the Junior Red Cross is actively fighting trachoma and conjunctivitis. But Red Cross youth also carry out unusual activities, such as the juniors in Japan who are serving as interpreters.
皆様、私は日本赤十字社青少年課長の橋本幸子でございます。This is Mrs. Sachiko Hashimoto, National Director of the Japanese Junior Red Cross. I am very happy indeed to speak to you from the Far East on the occasion of World Red Cross Day. What unites us all so closely together? I am receiving many thank you letters since last November when the 1964 Paralympics were held in Tokyo, Japan. They were, as you may know, the Olympic Games for the paraplegics, utilizing the facilities vacated by the 18th Olympiad athletes. 377 wheelchair athletes and 186 escorts, totaling 563 visitors to Japan from 22 countries for the occasion, became doubly handicapped in speech and hearing, though temporarily, for Japanese language is a vernacular one from international viewpoint. The need, however, could not be met by the people good for nothing, nor the linguists in the ivory tower, but only by those who had been trained in the Junior Red Cross. Why possible? Because Junior Red Cross is the invention of educators originally intended to combine study and heart for the cause of humanity, so that young people of learning age would be spurred up to learn how to do as well as what to do and why to do. There were finally 156 volunteer youths organized into the Red Cross language service team to be their interpreters, not for the lip service, but for genuine cause of humanity. Could I ask you to listen to the song of the Japanese Junior Red Cross?
The Junior Red Cross has given proof of its potential in many and varied international service actions of recent years, in particular in large-scale natural disasters. Quite recently, in Vietnam, ravaged by floods resulting from 2 typhoons, young people braved the dangers of war to help destitute victims, as we were told by Mr Vittani, delegate of the League of Red Cross Societies.
Quand je suis arrivé à Saigon, je savais déjà qu'il y avait des équipes de distribution.
When I arrived in Saigon, I already knew that there were distribution teams composed of young people from Saigon, students, scouts, and above all, first aiders of the Republic of Vietnam Red Cross, who were making distributions to the victims. I was extremely moved on my arrival in Da Nang to see how these distribution teams were working. These young people, aged between 14 and 21, had never done anything similar, but were full of enthusiasm. They loaded lorries, unloaded boats, went to very dangerous areas for 3 to 4 days and had to sleep in the open. They took great risks, but it was very comforting to note that none of the dangers involved could stop these young people from carrying on with their task with true devotion.
Pouvait arrêter ces jeunes gens de travailler avec un enthousiasme extraordinaire.
We have not yet spoken about Latin America, a vast continent where the Red Cross has been established for a very long time, and where the Junior Red Cross plays a vital role. Mr Gomez, who as Assistant Director of the Junior Red Cross Bureau of the League, is responsible for the development of youth programs in the national societies of this continent. He has recently participated in 2 important meetings, or seminars, in Latin America, one in Lima, Peru, and the other in Santiago, Chile.
Yes, the Junior Red Cross was given an important place at the 2 seminars. The enthusiasm of the leaders of national societies was strongly evidenced during our discussion of Junior Red Cross matters, and a proposed meeting of Junior Red Cross leaders of the Americas to be held at Quito in 1966, organized by Ecuadorian Red Cross. In my opinion, the officers of Latin American National Junior Red Cross section demonstrated favorable reaction to the excellent work being carried out by juniors of this continent. To give one example, I saw Peruvian juniors at work in the shanty towns which border Lima, called the Belt of Misery. I saw this junior working in-house, if they can be described as such, teaching the most elementary rules of hygiene. I was able to note the enthusiasm of the Peruvian Red Cross when we discussed the 5-year development plan, which will enable them to receive help towards the successful completion of the task they have undertaken. There is much enthusiasm in Colombia, Uruguay, Argentina, Ecuador, Peru, Paraguay, and Chile.
We have taken examples at random. We could have chosen thousands of others, as there are Junior Red Cross members at work throughout the world under the well-known emblem of the Universal Red Cross. They mitigate suffering and bring the comfort and happiness of human brotherhood to the suffering. This is true whether it be the Soviet Union, Poland, or Czechoslovakia, where young first aiders are very active, the United States of America, where juniors conduct ambitious programs of international exchanges, Australia, where the first Junior Red Cross television broadcast took place, or Canada, where juniors have accepted the sponsorship of African and Asian schools.
Today, 8 May 1965, World Red Cross Day. We want to repeat with Pierre Nyamweogho from Upper Volta, youth, come forward to give better service to the Red Cross Red Crescent, Red Lion and Sun.
You have just heard a special program from the Red Cross.